How's it going? Everybody good? Everybody awake? Yeah.
I think we need to do jumping. Should we do some jumping jacks
I
right
hate
now?
when they do that. I hate jumping, stand up,
guys,
turn around,
Did somebody say that
So,
there was a green
I want to have everybody introduce themselves first. I'll introduce myself.
Is there a steering wheel
My
right
name's
there?
Cyrus Moseni. I own one of the top independent brokerages in the country. We're located in Orange County, California, LA, and San Diego. Also have an office that we just opened in Sacramento. Buck, go ahead.
Sure, yeah. My name is Buck Wise. I started in traditional broadcast, moved into the digital space. I worked with some really big brands. Maybe you've heard of Starbucks, Google, Nike. And then I worked with what I call the web celeb space. So maybe you've heard of Grant Cardone. I was a chief marketing officer for his business management company for 3 years. And then most recently, Ryan Serhant. And my wife is a real estate agent. And we love Follow Up Boss. That is not a hashtag sponsored. We love it. We use it. And so that's why I'm here.
Hi, I'm Kat Flanagan. I'm the Director of Listing Procurement for the Robert Slack team in Florida.
I'm Jesse Stein, and I have a 25-year career in digital marketing and tech. We don't have enough time for me to tell you about all the stuff that hasn't worked out. I founded those sportsmemorabilia.com, got really lucky. In 2005, we grew it into a top 500 internet retailer, sold it to Fanatics, and since then have done a number of different ventures, and I'm also the founder of Audience, and those notes that you guys received on your chairs this morning, those were written by our robots. I see you're holding one. And we have 350 of these handwriting robots, and they hold pens, and they write exactly like humans, and we do all this digital marketing follow-up and targeting to help real estate agents drive more listings.
Cool. So what we want to talk about today is crushing your listing marketing. And when we were discussing kind of how we're going to game plan, what we're going to do, we decided to break it up into 3 sections, right? Like pre-listing, during your listing, and post-listing. And so with that being said, I wanted to start with Kat. You have an amazing pre-listing package that we were talking about. Kind of share a little bit about what you guys do and your process pre-listing.
Yeah, so it's kind of a 2-part system. We created first a digital marketing presentation on the platform called flippingbook.com. And it's really cool because it is sent via text or email, and it looks like a magazine. But it's digital, so it's easy to send. It's more of a general introduction to who Robert Slack is and how we dare to do business differently. So we kind of use that as our ticket into the living room. It helps us get listing appointments. Prior to us going on the listing appointment, we send out a pre-listing package, which is a physical book, a binder. It is basically marketed back to Robert Slack, and there's 5 sections. So we start with the introduction that has the agent bio, giving a little more information about who you're going to be meeting. And then we talk about the market. So what's happening around them. We use trend graphics or anything from our local MLS. What's happening, like list to sold price, how many days on market, price per square foot, just to give them an idea of what they're getting into. And then the 3rd section is about their home. So it's customized to them. We also work with Ylopo. So we leverage a lot of their tools and technology. We include a copy of their heat map tool, which I can get into later what that is. Also the CMA. And then if their property qualifies for a cash offer, it's included in that section. And we follow that with the process, what they can expect during the selling process, seller's checklist, and then we end it with additional resources. So introduction to our affiliates like mortgage, title, insurance, and then our foundation Slack serves.
So going back to the flip book that you guys create, is that a cold outreach, or are you guys sending that to like a lead that maybe connected with you on your website? Who are you sending that to?
So it's both. We have it as part of many of our action plans. Yeah. So through call action, we can include in there because it's a clickable link. And then we also, if we have the conversation, we can follow up with sending the marketing presentation. So it's a one-size-fits-all. Killer. And you guys are, I'm guessing, tracking who's clicking on it and so on and so forth. What's great about the flipping book, too, is that it tracks all of that. How many seconds or minutes are spent on each page if they've
That's
opened
amazing.
it. So it really gives great data back to us.
That's amazing. That's
And then we'll
amazing.
know where should we spend time. If they're looking at our tools and our technology, that's what we need to talk about when we're in front of them. If they're
Yeah.
looking more at what our numbers are, we can kind of go into that.
That's killer. And Jesse, your tech and your cards and things like that specialize in basically getting those contacts and getting those appointments. So what kind of process are you looking at for like sending out cards before to get the listing lead?
Yeah, so key before you send, whether you do it through us or someone else, we'd like to think we're head, shoulders, and torso better than anyone else. But the key before you send a single handwritten note is to make sure you send them only to the most likely to sell properties. And so you want to filter that down, and then the note needs to be, the sweet spot is 650 characters, okay? And we have QR codes on all of our notes, and so we've sent now millions of notes. We have all this data. So whether you do it through us or someone else, it's 650 characters to 700 characters. And you want to, just like everything you do, you want to educate, you want to help, you want to guide. You want to be their trusted advisor for life. So don't ask for the listing or talk about that you have buyers that are ready. Educate, offer a market report, offer analysis. So that's what you do. And the key is the front of the note, never brand the front of the note. So the temptation is to put, your brokerage or to put your photo. Nobody wants a logo. Nobody wants a photo of a stranger on their kitchen counter. So the key with the handwritten note is they kind of defy the time-space continuum in the sense that like email gets chucked typically, like all other forms of media, those ad impressions go away quickly. With the handwritten note, you have this opportunity, so don't squander it. So what you do is you send the note on the front, put a local landmark that they identify with, and then make it a bifold note, so they'll put it on their kitchen counter, they'll put it on their home office desk, they'll keep it, and then the last mile, which is critical, is always use the handwritten note as a Trojan horse. What I mean by that is you send the note, and what you're doing now is you're taking an ice-cold audience, a homeowner, let's say this isn't Sphere, this is geofarming. Take an ice-cold audience, you're warming it up, that's why I named the company Audience.co. You're warming it up. Now, when you follow up, they're way more receptive to your follow-up. Like cold emails to someone that received your handwritten note get an 8% response rate. Now you can connect with them on LinkedIn. That's why we provide emails, LinkedIn profiles, and so forth.
So, and I think it's important to understand, and you had mentioned it, but whether you're using your company or you guys are writing the notes yourselves, the important things are these basic factors, right? Like no branding on the front of the envelope, having it something that they're going to keep on their desk so that they stay there, and then you mentioned a QR code as well. Why is that important? And I'm going to go to Buck on this one because we're going to talk about a little digital marketing. Why is it important to have that connection as far as a QR code or anything like that on a handwritten note?
Yeah, sure. So first, I think the biggest mistake most real estate agents make is we do two things. We become transactional in nature, where all we think about is how do I get the listing? How do I close the deal? Right? So we become this sort of transactional piece, and we become execution focused instead of strategic. And so the QR code plays two parts. One, data is your best friend, and we all know where you hold that data, where that information goes. That data informs the strategy of what to do, when to do it, where to do it. And that is where you then inform your creative. That is the execution. And so the QR code plays an important part from a data standpoint so that you're able to collect and track and understand exactly who is clicking what, when they're clicking it, so that you can optimize and create better success in your campaigns. But ultimately, the QR code is also important because if you don't use call to actions, and if you don't simplify what it is you want the end user to do, then you're never going to get the engagement that you're looking for in the first place.
Yeah, and I with that QR code, like for me in our company, what we use it is the same thing. It's like I want to track everybody that's opening that envelope, right? And at least get, if I know that if I got 60% of the people that use the QR code, that's great, right? Because now I can track who opened it, and then I actually have it zapped into our, that data zapped into our FUB account for our agents. And then now I know that that person opened the envelope and they actually use a QR code to figure out what their home value is using HomeBot or some sort of other automation. But it allows you to track.
That's right.
And then retarget.
I will mention, there are also tools that you use, right? So you have to think of, whether you're doing above the line, below the line, digital, traditional, TV, radio, billboards, in mail, right? Like when you're thinking of all these different aspects of how do you nurture and build relationships, let's simplify this for a second. What we're really trying to do is earn trust. So the question is, how fast can we do it? And what are the tools that you've been hearing about that you leverage in order to do it quicker? And so that's why it's important that you don't just shoot from the hip. This isn't going to be a tutorial on how to make a TikTok and win a listing, because that's shotgun approach, right? Gary Vee said, I got to be consistent and do 16 TikToks. But you have no data.
Yeah.
You're not mining the data the way that you and your company are. You're not automating the process. You're not learning from the experience. A lot of times this surprises people when I say it, but as a real estate agent, I would rather you have an ounce of failure, but know exactly why you did, than a little bit of success and have no idea how you created it or how to recreate it, because then you're not scalable.
Oh, 100%.
So I think that's the most important piece.
Yeah, it's like I always tell people, fail fast, fail often. The faster you fail, the more you find out how not to do it, and you just keep winning.
If you're tracking.
If you track it,
right.
Correct, 100%.
Right.
So now, going back to you, Kat, on the fact that so we've tracked in these people using whether it's cards that are sent out or other digital marketing efforts. You send your flip book, they open it, you track those people, and then what's your next part of the process when someone opens it that they're looking at that flip book? What's your next part of your process?
So the conversation really is just to kind of figure out where they're at. They have questions. We're looking to open the door to a conversation, really.
Yeah.
And then that will typically lead to the listing appointment, where we're FedExing the pre-listing package.
Okay, so you guys FedEx the pre-list.
Yeah. We try and get it to them either same day or that evening before, so right before they're going to meet with our agent.
Okay, so if they're listing appointments on a Thursday, you're trying to get it to them on Thursday or Wednesday night.
Correct.
Okay, and process-wise, just for my understanding is, who's taking care of the FedEx? What does that look like on the back end?
So we do have a listing admin team, but the pre-listing package only comes into existence. It's a collaborative effort between the agent and us. So obviously the agent, they're local, they're boots on the ground. They're the only ones that can create the CMA. They're the only ones that can create part of your home information.
Yeah.
So on the listing admin side, we put together basically 4 out of 5 of those tabs I told you about. Just giving them the overview of who Robert Slack is. We can pull market information. That stuff is easy, but it's the your home section that the agent really takes ownership of. So they will upload everything into Follow Up Boss. We then upload all of our files into Follow Up Boss so the agent can see in the file section.
I'm gonna stop real quick. Upload everything. What are they uploading into the CMA?
So all of them are PDFs
Okay.
of everything, like the CMA, the heat map, the IMAP, like any of the informational bits.
And they upload it in the file section of Follow Up Boss.
Upload it into the file section. Then
love that.
Our listing admin team prints it out, puts the book together, sends the FedEx, and gives the agent back in Follow Up Boss, this is all tracked here, the tracking information.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so then the agent knows that it's at the house.
Right, because the agent, they can choose. They can either have the book FedEx to them and they can hand deliver it, but our want and our requirement really is that the homeowner is receiving it prior to the appointment. So they have time to go over it. They already know about us because of the digital marketing presentation, but the PLP really gets down to the nitty-gritty of what is it about your home, what can you expect in this market. So we like to work together with our agent, and it really sets them apart. Their competitors are likely not doing the same thing, definitely not at the level that we're doing it. One of the documents in the Your Home section, like I mentioned, the heat map, literally tells them how many buyers we currently have in our database that are searching for a home just like yours. So
Yeah.
we don't just walk in and say, oh yeah, we've got buyers. We show you the buyers and where they're at.
Yeah, and I think if you're not implementing a pre-listing package, like if you don't take anything else from here, you should be taking this concept, because the way, like the ease of close when you show up is like 10, 20 times easier, right? Like you literally walk into the door, they know everything that they need to know, and now it's just, do we work together? Like it's a relationship thing versus like, oh, how much is my house worth? All of these questions that people walk into the door wanting to know, right?
And prior to them meeting with the homeowner, they call and say, hey, Mr. Seller, just want to make sure you receive the pre-listing package I sent. Any questions you have ahead of time, let me know, so that the agent might know the objections that they're going to walk into.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And so now let's say you send the pre-listing package, agent doesn't get the listing, whatnot. What kind of digital marketing strategies can we use to like retarget that?
Sure.
I don't care who.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk through this. So I mean, all marketing is omni-channel, obviously. And the challenge with digital marketing I've seen is, for a lot of people, it's a shiny penny. So they pick it up and they'll hire an SEO firm. And often, and you guys are smart, and smart people are curious, and curious people tend to lurch toward the shiny and the new, right? So what happens often is people run enthusiastically in the wrong direction, or they get burned by that SEO firm and they never try it again. So the key, and I know all the misfires I've ever had in my career are because I didn't have the right skills and tools. The key with digital marketing, and I know this is what you guys are looking for, are skills and tools that you can implement tomorrow to start building more listings and nurturing your sphere. The key is to have a toolbox of hacks and skills and shortcuts that are powerful, that are unconventional, and that are not here today and gone tomorrow. So and I always look for, where is the underpriced attention? Where is the arbitrage? So TikTok, for example, is not for selling hoodies to 14-year-olds anymore. Like it is. There's a ton of agents who are quietly crushing it on TikTok. And because TikTok is an interest graph and not a social graph, you don't need to have followers to get started. You don't need to have engagement and likes. You can just go for it, and then your content is served to folks that share those same interests and likes. LinkedIn is quickly trying to become a social network. It is very similar in terms of opportunity to where Facebook was 10 years ago. So if you're not on LinkedIn, you have to get there now. But there's a wrong way to do it, and there's a right way to do it. So the right way is 800 to 1,000-word articles, okay? Instagram and TikTok are all about video. LinkedIn is the master of the written word. Okay, and so algorithmically, you're going to get a big gold star when you do 800 to 1,000-word articles. And like Buck said, by the way, before this panel, I thought I had a decent name, Jesse. But Cat, Buck, Cyrus, I give up. But like Buck said about being an advisor and being trustworthy, use the word trust, you don't sell. My kids would just say it's cringy. On LinkedIn, you want to educate. So the 4 home staging secrets to selling your home for top dollar, for example. 4 hashtags maximum on LinkedIn, 800 to 1,000 words. Then combine the article with LinkedIn message ads. Okay, that is LinkedIn inventory in general. Those ad impressions are pretty overpriced. LinkedIn message ads are between 40 cents and 80 cents. Those are those annoying LinkedIn messages that come into your inbox that are typically very untargeted. But if you're posting content and you're educating and advising and helping, post 4 or 5 articles, then start sending LinkedIn message ads, and then combine that with a tool called Octopus CRM. That's like, these 2 things are going to be worth the price of admission alone. Octopus CRM is a Chrome extension that you use in conjunction with LinkedIn. Get this. So you can visit, let's say, a competing agent's profile. Click on their connections. LinkedIn will automatically, within seconds, take all of those connections and put them into a spreadsheet. Now you can use Hunter.io to enrich those with email addresses, and now you can do that with hundreds of people. So LinkedIn is the articles, right? With message ads, with Octopus CRM, those three are incredibly powerful.
So break it back down here. When we're looking at like a specific seller lead, a specific listing lead, a specific person, like the reason that this is so important to have a presence on LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever the social network is because of the fact that we're looking at, I can now go follow that lead.
That's it.
Right? I can follow Jesse after I meet with him. I can follow him on LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever it is. And then what are they going to see when they go to my profile?
So with our notes, we supply all the LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah.
With our notes, we give you all the email addresses. So that's the missing component. In your farm, you have to have emails and LinkedIn's, and then you connect with them, and then it's all about repetition and persistence.
Which is killer. Which is what we were talking about backstage as far as personal brand and what the weight of like a personal brand is. So why is that important?
Well, there's
in cooperation with like listing. Marketing.
Sure, yeah. Each one of you has equity in your personal brand. I had an agent tell me the other day, I'm not online, I don't have a personal brand. No, nobody knows it exists. You do have one, and nobody knows it exists. I spent 3 years with Grant Cardone, who would say if they don't know you, they can't float you. They gotta know who you are. The best never wins. The best known always wins. You could be the best agent in your town. You could have the best listing. But if you don't have the exposure, the attention, the awareness, then you're behind the eight ball. And so what I would do is I would go, yes, we could sit here and I could spend time going through technique and tactic, but what I would urge you to do, if you're truly invested in this career, if this isn't you trying to just close one deal in the next 30 days, if you're serious about this as a career, think about this. Let's go 40,000 feet in the air. There's two things that are the most important as you build out a personal brand. Who are you and who are they? That's it. Who are you and who are they? I spent $2 million in 6 months with Starbucks to determine who is the drinker of a pumpkin spice latte. Okay? We increased sales that fall 28% from the year before the beverage launched to the public, because we identified exactly who was the core persona that wants to not just once try it for the season, but somebody who, A, wants to be an influencer in their network, 2, wants to share it with other friends, and 3, drives multiple occasions of the beverage throughout the season. Not Bob, who's 52 years old, tried it one time and said it was too sweet. We actually found Heather, who was much younger than Bob, and she, believe it or not. In fact, when we spoke to Howard Schultz and we said, this is the drinker of a pumpkin spice latte, we introduced him to Heather. And we said, Heather's excited because the temperatures dropped just a little bit, okay? And she's excited because she gets to wear Ugg boots. But they're not new. They were on layaway last year because she's still paying off college debt. But she's excited to walk a few blocks down the street and meet her friend Jennifer, who's gonna talk about this new cute boy at work, but they don't know if he's married or if he's single, but they're gonna talk about him and they're gonna have that first sip of the season. And so on the way out, what we know is Heather has the fingerless gloves, the Ugg boots from last year, and she's already planning the photo shoot for Instagram because she knows that she's on the right side of FOMO, fear of missing out, right? And her friends are gonna go, oh my God, I didn't know. By the way, they call it PSL, not pumpkin spice. I didn't know PSL had launched yet, right? And so as you start to develop who are these people that we're targeting, are they buyers? Are they sellers? Are they investors? Are they empty nesters? Are they going through a divorce? Like, how detailed and niche can you get? The more you know who they are, the more you speak your language. So the wider you go as you develop your personal brand, have you ever heard this before? If you talk to everybody, you talk to who? Nobody. So that's what we do. The first thing we do with our personal brand is, I'm a great real estate agent, right? I've got this beautiful listing. We go broad, we go wide, we throw out a net instead of spearfishing your Heather and your micro market and your community. So I would urge you to take time to determine, who are you? How are you different from the other real estate agents in your town? What makes you separate? What are the differentiators? What are the attributes or the feelings you want people to have when they connect or engage with you? And then who is it that you're really talking to on the other side? Because remember, we're not talking to thousands of people. You're talking to one single individual that you're trying to evoke an emotion to drive an engagement so you can build a relationship, create trust, and close more deals.
And that was amazing. Thank you, Buck.
Yeah.
And now the same concept on building your personal brand is the same exact tools of selling your freaking listing. Who's gonna buy the place? Who are you targeting? You got a $500,000 place. You're not targeting someone that's looking at a $2 million place, right? So it's the same exact concepts that Buck is outlining. It's just in your listing form, right? So, and before we go off of pre-listing, I wanna make sure that I mention this because it's something that's very helpful for my team on the pre-listing side, because everybody's always like, oh, well, how am I supposed to make sure my agents always do X, Y, Z? Like, how am I supposed to make sure they hit all of these things? We created an action plan in Follow Up Boss. We create an action plan with all of the tasks that they need to hit when they get that pre-listing, or when they get a listing, right? Okay, now you have all of these things to get ready. Now my agents don't ever have to call me and ask me, hey, Cyrus, what do I do next? It's there. Look at your checklist, finish your checklist. Once that checklist is done, guess what? The next action plan comes up, and it's listings on market action plan, right? So now listings on the market. We got the listing. What's our next process to get that out to the public? What are we doing?
So for our team, the first thing we do is we launched the listing rocket. So through Ylopo, they create this beautiful ad that gets placed on Facebook, and it's marketed to everybody that's within a 10-mile radius of that house that's been looking for a home in that similar price range. And we kind of layer the tools within Ylopo. So we send out the listing rocket. Then we're actually going back and we're sharing it to our own internal team. We do that before it really hits the market.
Yeah.
And then we're pulling a reverse lookup. One of our greatest strengths is the size of our database. So we pull out anybody that is looking within 60, 70,000 of that price point. And then we're sending them a batch email through Follow Up Boss. We're sending them the push listing. We actually send them the ad. On Listing Rocket, you can choose between a carousel ad or the Diva.
Yeah.
So for any brand new listing or a price drop or an open house, we're doing carousel.
I think it's also like a really underrated tool on Ylopo.
We definitely did not dive into it as soon as we should have.
And also, just to put this in perspective, when she's talking about the reverse lookup, that's through Ylopo as well, right?
Yeah,
because it's going through your database.
Exactly. Like we basically, with the heat map, we're showing them the buyers. Then with the listing rocket, we're marketing to the buyers. And then with the reverse lookup, we are able to, so we send them the batch email, we can send them text messages. We actually give the agents access to their contact information as well, because we want them to be called, we want them to be emailed. We're reaching out to try and generate appointments.
Yeah.
And then once the listing rocket goes out every 5 to 7 days, we collect the seller report. So we're able to go back and show the sellers, this is how your ad is performing. This is how many times it was posted on somebody's Facebook feed. This is how many times somebody watched the ad for at least 3 seconds. This is how many times they interacted with it. And then we can actually show them brand new leads that are generated because of it.
And again, I just want to make sure that these are hitting here because this is like gold. This market that we're in is not a put on the market, breathe on it, and then it's sold anymore. These houses are going to stay on the market. They're going to stay on the market for longer days on market. They've been doing it in every one of our markets. So what Kat and her team are doing with having these seller reports is a very necessary thing if you're not incorporating that. Whether you're using Ylopo or whatever system, you need to be showing the seller on a weekly basis minimum what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And so that's what you guys are doing with your seller report from Ylopo?
Exactly. So we will send the seller report back to our listing agent. Any leads that are generated, our inside sales team is trying to set an appointment, but also giving access back to the listing agent so they can continue following up. On the listing or the seller report itself, it shows you the ad performance, like a report card. Then it gives you, if you use the HTML link, it gives you the actual ad itself. So that's something great to show the seller. You're not just putting it on the MLS. This is how you're doing business differently. And then the middle portion of that will show the seller who's your competition, what's happening in the market around you, what new homes have come on the market, how does yours compare? Is it time to talk about a price reduction? So I think it's really important to show the seller that you're putting your money where your mouth is.
100%. And Jesse, how are you coupling handwritten notes and again, the ability to be able to send out, I think it's amazing. The ability to be able to send out hundreds of handwritten notes without having a hand cramp because you're writing hundreds of handwritten notes is phenomenal. So how are you coupling that when you get it, when we're having agents get a brand new listing rather than just sending a normal just listed postcard? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we're tightly integrated with Follow Up Boss, so many of you in here are using us for this, but we detect when you get a new listing or it's inside of Follow Up Boss, and then classic circle prospecting. So we will draw a radius around that property, typically a half a mile. I mean, depends on the population density of the area. And then you want to send the note, and that's actually the one time when the front of the note can have an image that's not a landmark. You can have the actual property and just have just listed and then the address. Then the key there is to follow up by 3 things. Follow up by email, connect with them on LinkedIn. Remember, like Instagram's great, these other platforms are great, but typically when you post on Instagram, that'll disappear within minutes. LinkedIn, not only the people that you're connected with will see it, but the concentric circles around them will see it. And the last piece of what you want to do, and we supply all this, is you create a custom audience inside of Facebook. And the thing that a lot of realtors are missing, right, are the email addresses of these homeowners. It's very difficult to enrich homeowner data with accurate email addresses. We do that, and then you take those emails, you create a custom audience, and then you serve Facebook and Instagram ads to them. And that trifecta works really, really well. And everyone knows that, like, people consume content in different ways. Like, this is really important. So you need to meet people where they're consuming content. There's some people that are all about podcasts and other people that are on Instagram and some people that are on TikTok and LinkedIn and so forth. So you need to be everywhere at once. The key is to have it done for you so it's like as little brain damage as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Buck, when we have these let's say people aren't using Ylopo or people aren't using these, what can they do to market their listing digitally on their own?
Sure, yeah. I'll just piggyback off Jesse. I call him Uncle Jesse from Full House. So he does have a cool name, see? Unless you're really young, you're like, what the hell is that? No, they came out with another show, right?
Yeah, they have,
okay,
they have
still
like
know.
Fuller House or
all right,
something.
I'm still cool. So you were talking about how you join a conversation, right? We've all been to the party where you're having a great conversation and somebody comes in with their own conversation. That's what bad timing, wrong persona, wrong target, that's what that is. And so organically, I'll speak organically since I think that's the direction you want to take. Do you guys know the second largest search engine in the world? YouTube, right, it's YouTube. And so when we talk about intent and conversations, it's really important that 2 things. One, get niche about your area. Okay, you can't be a global real estate expert unless that is the personal brand you're really trying to build. If you're trying to close deals in your market, become the expert in that market on that search engine. That is a place where the intent is much higher than other social platforms because people are searching your conversations out. They want to know Raleigh, North Carolina, Plano, Texas, north of Dallas, what are the best schools, right? They're literally searching these conversations. The question is, what data are you using to inform those conversations? Which conversations make the most sense in your market? What are the top 5 things? If you know right now, good for you, then you've done your research. The top 5 things most people search in your market on YouTube. You can find that. Google Trends will give it to you for free. You know, sometimes it's really nice restaurants in your downtown area. Sometimes it's sporting events, or it's, you know, outdoor activities or entertainment. But I would say two things. One, don't go home and say, Buck said I'm going to get my listing sold if I put it on YouTube, if it's your first time uploading a YouTube video. I'll give you a quick example. One of my favorite friends, Levi and Travis in Dallas, they have it's called the Move to Dallas team. And they got on YouTube 2 years ago, and they wanted to capitalize off of all the growth that Texas was having. And he uploaded 3 videos that were top trending subjects in his micro market, 3 a week. Nothing happened for 4 months. Nothing. Now he's going to do 2.2 million GCI, no paid ads whatsoever. Search, 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 search. Just search. People searching Texas. The reason why, though, I want to give you the context behind this, is algorithms love consistency. They reward you for being consistent. So the first time you upload a video, YouTube's like, this person has never uploaded a video. There's no chance this content is any good, and there's probably no chance that they're ever going to upload a video again, because they see those accounts with 8 videos that never get uploaded again. So they're going to reward you for that time and consistency. And so I would say be strategic. Start now with your listings using very specific, and by the way, please don't be the agent that uses licensed music and just does pans of rooms. Please tell me a story and evoke an emotion. Like, please talk and show me a little bit about you and your personality and why this is something that I'd be interested in. A really easy format for you if you're like, I have no idea what to say. He wants me to put my face on the camera. One eye's bigger than the other. I'm really insecure. I don't want to do this, right? I hear that a lot from people. They judge themselves. But a really easy format for you, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter. You have 2 seconds to make an impact. Everyone take out your phone and go like this. Count with me out loud, real loud. Ready? 1, 2. 1, 2, keep going. 1, 2. That's the average time you have for somebody to make a decision of this is interesting or this is not. So the very first thing you need to think of is, what is your impact that you can create in YouTube in this listing? If it's, hi, how are you? I'm Georgia's #1 real estate agent, and I'm coming to you today from a beautiful...
I decided to come
They're
on
gone.
here
Right,
because...
right, they're gone. Right, they're gone. Right? A basement so big that you could literally put your in-laws in it, like impact. Like, what is it about that house that's going to create impact, right? So think of whatever that is, impact, then add value. So it's impact, value, and then credibility. Numbers give you credibility. How many homes have you sold in this area? What do we know about the growth of business in this area? What are the numbers that you can provide that give credibility in your content? And then call to action back to the QR code. It's like, what do you want them to do from there? Watch the video and float away. Give them very specific instructions of what you want them to do next.
That's awesome. We're running out of time on the panel, but I want to go back to what you were saying in there, and what you guys have heard all day long is the key to success is consistency over everything. It's consistently executing your pre-listing package. It's consistently executing your handwritten notes sent out. It's consistently executing your marketing, your online digital marketing. If you're gonna win with consistency over long-term and long periods of time. I appreciate you guys for being on today. I wish we could have got to the post marketing for listings, but we had a great time. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you, and we appreciate Follow a Boss.
That's your book.